2026 is bringing the biggest engine change F1 has seen in over a decade. The MGU-K, that thing that recovers energy when you brake, is getting tripled from 120 kilowatts to 350 kilowatts. Nearly half the car's power is now electric. These are basically electric cars with an engine attached. The MGU-H, that super complex bit that recovers energy from the turbo, is getting completely deleted. Teams spent hundreds of millions perfecting it, and now it's gone. Why? Car manufacturers said it's too expensive and useless for road cars. Honda's coming back for these new rules, Audi's jumping in too. The engines run on 100% sustainable fuels now. Sounds great until you remember F1 still flies everything around the world 24 times a year. Engineers are split. Some love the simplified system, others think it's a step backward. We won't know until these cars hit the track in 2026. Active aerodynamics takes over. DRS is dead. 2026 introduces active aero on both front and rear wings. The wings automatically adjust between low drag mode for straights and high downforce mode for corners. No buttons, no DRS zones. The FIA software controls everything. The goal is 30% less drag on straights while keeping cornering speed high. Sounds perfect for racing, but here's the problem. This removes driver skill. No more managing aero balance or timing your moves. A computer does it for you. It's like switching from manual to automatic transmission. The scary part? If the system fails mid-corner, you suddenly lose half your downforce at 180 miles per hour. The FIA says it's safe, but nobody's actually tested it at racing speeds yet. This is either genius or a complete disaster waiting to happen. Smaller, lighter, narrower cars, modern F1 cars are massive. 2026 fixes that. Cars get 100 millimeters narrower, 200 millimeters shorter, and 30 kilograms lighter. Minimum weight drops from 798 kilograms to 768 kilograms. Shorter wheelbase means tighter cornering and actual wheel-to-wheel racing on street circuits like Monaco and Singapore. Less car size means less dirty air, so following another car becomes way easier. On paper, this is exactly what fans want. The problem? Smaller cars mean less space for safety structures, cooling systems, and all the hybrid components. Engineers are already stressing about fitting everything in. Some teams with top facilities will nail it immediately. Others will struggle hard, creating a massive performance gap in year one. The real question, will lighter cars produce better racing or just more crashes? The FIA is betting everything on this formula. Battery power gets massive. The battery is getting a serious upgrade. Instead of short bursts of electric power, drivers get electric boost for almost the entire lap. Energy storage is being expanded massively, completely changing race strategy. Overtaking can now happen anywhere on track, not just DRS zones. More battery charge than the car ahead. Blast past them wherever you want. Every lap becomes a strategic gamble about when to deploy and when to save. Here's where purists get annoyed. This makes F1 feel like Formula E's bigger cousin. The sport should be about raw engine power, not managing a battery like a video game. The counter-argument? This is exactly what's happening in road cars. Hybrids and EVS are the future, the nightmare scenario. Driver's battery dies mid-race and they're crawling around with half the power of everyone else. Imagine leading and your battery software glitches. You go from first to last in seconds. Is that good racing or just chaos? Sustainable fuels become mandatory. Every 2026 power unit runs on 100% sustainable fuel, not a mix. Fully sustainable, made from captured carbon and renewable sources, so theoretically carbon neutral. F1 keeps combustion engines and claims they're not destroying the planet. Sounds perfect, but critics say the production process for these fuels is expensive and energy intensive. The carbon footprint of making them might be worse than regular fuel. And if only F1 uses them, what's the real impact? Just greenwashing? The upside, if F1 proves sustainable fuels work at extreme performance levels, it could accelerate adoption in road cars and other motorsports. Teams are testing them now. Early reports say they perform nearly identical to traditional fuel. The real question, is F1 genuinely leading toward a sustainable future? Or is this just good PR while flying 20 cars around the world 24 times a year? You can have carbon neutral fuel, but the optics are still weird. DRS gets completely replaced. DRS has been in F1 since 2011. 2026 kills it, with active aero handling drag reduction automatically, Traditional DRS zones are gone. No more detection points, no more DRS available signs, no more debates about real overtakes. DRS always felt artificial. Driver closes up, presses button, sails past like the other guys standing still. Effective, but never felt earned. The new system promises to be more organic, with constant aero adjustments based on speed and situation. The problem nobody's talking about, circuits that relied on DRS for overtaking, might become boring again. Barcelona and Hungary only have decent racing because of multiple DRS zones. Take those away and what happens? The active Aero is supposed to fix this, but it's all theory until we see it race. Some drivers are relieved DRS is gone. They always said it made overtaking too easy. Others worry following cars will still be difficult despite new regulations. F1 without DRS is uncharted territory, and it's either revolutionary or will miss the simplicity of a button. Increased energy recovery per lap. The 2026 power units aren't just about more electric power, they recover way more energy per lap. Current cars recover around 2 megajoules per lap. 2026 cars could double that, maybe more. This changes how drivers approach every corner. Braking zones become energy harvesting opportunities. Brake harder, recover more energy, but brake too hard and you lock up or overheat the system. Constant balancing act that separates great drivers from good ones. Teams are working on regenerative systems for the front axle too, not just the rear. If approved, this creates electronic all-wheel drive during acceleration phases. Imagine launching out of slow corners with electric power to all 4 wheels. The traction would be insane. The catch? More energy recovery means more heat. In a smaller chassis, cooling becomes a nightmare. Teams choose between maximum energy recovery and reliable cooling. Some get it right, others suffer overheating and reduced performance. That's where championships get decided. Fan reaction is mixed. Hardcore enthusiasts worry F1 is too focused on energy management. Newer fans who care about sustainability love it. The sport is trying to appeal to both, and it's a tightrope walk. Simplified front wing design. Front wings on 2026 cars get dramatically simplified. Current wings have dozens of elements and insanely complex aero devices. New regulations strip that away. Simpler, cleaner design with fewer elements and less dirty air. This directly addresses cars not being able to follow each other closely. 2022 regulations tried fixing this with ground effect. It worked somewhat. 2026 goes further. Simpler front wings plus active aero should create cars that genuinely race wheel to wheel for multiple laps. Engineering teams are pushing back. Simpler wings mean less opportunity for innovation and differentiation. If every front wing looks the same, where do you find advantages? Many engineers feel their hands are being tied. For fans, this could be fantastic. Simpler aero means better racing. Better racing means exciting championships. The risk? Simplification goes too far, and we get a spec series where all cars look and perform identically. F1 has always walked the line between standardization and innovation. 2026 pushes that line harder than ever. Team radio restrictions get tighter. The FIA is tightening what engineers can tell drivers over radio. Currently, teams give detailed instructions about energy deployment, brake balance, differential settings. In 2026, a lot of that gets banned. Drivers figure it out themselves. The reasoning: put responsibility back on drivers. F1 has become so engineer-dependent that sometimes the pit wall feels like they're driving remotely. By limiting radio, drivers rely more on instincts and skills rather than constant guidance. Sounds great in theory, but imagine a rookie trying to manage a complex hybrid system, active aero, and race strategy with minimal pit wall help. The learning curve will be brutal. Experienced drivers get a huge advantage, making the driver market even more focused on proven talent. Teams worry about safety too. If a driver has a critical system issue and the engineer can't clearly explain how to fix it, that's a problem. The FIA says safety-critical communications are still allowed, but where's the line? Grey areas everywhere. For viewers, this could improve the show. Less radio chatter means more raw racing and less micromanagement. But it could also mean more mistakes, more retirements, more frustration. It's a bold move, and we won't know if it works until Bahrain 2026. Standardized components increase. 2026 brings more standardized parts than ever. The FIA mandates standard electronic control units, standard energy store systems, even some suspension components. Goal is reducing costs and leveling the playing field so smaller teams can compete. Sounds great, less spending, closer competition, more teams can afford to be competitive. But F1 has always been about pushing technological boundaries. When you standardize major components, are you still at the pinnacle of motorsport or just another spec series with fancy marketing? Big teams like Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull hate this. They invested billions in infrastructure and engineering talent. Now they can't use that advantage. Smaller teams love it because it gives them a fighting chance. The midfield could become incredibly tight. The real test: does standardization produce better racing or just make all cars equally mediocre? IndyCar has standardized chassis and the racing is fantastic. But IndyCar isn't trying to be the technological peak of motorsport. F1 is. Can you have both close racing and cutting-edge technology? 2026 is betting yes. Budget cap gets even tighter. The budget cap drops further in 2026. Teams have less money to develop these radically new cars. Entirely new power units, new Aero regulations, smaller chassis, less money to figure it all out. Big teams panic. Red Bull, Mercedes, Ferrari are used to throwing money at problems until they disappear. Now they can't. They have to be smarter, more efficient, more creative with limited resources. Great for competition, but mistakes become more costly. Develop in the wrong direction and you can't spend your way out. For smaller teams, this is their golden opportunity. Everyone starts from zero on 2026 regulations with limited budgets. A smart midfield team could nail the formula and challenge for wins. We could see Aston Martin or Alpine suddenly fighting at the front, or total chaos with nobody understanding the cars for an entire season. The budget cap is the great equalizer and the great unknown. Will it produce the closest championship fight in F1 history, or will one team nail the regulations and dominate because no one else can afford to catch up? What does this all mean? 2026 either saves Formula One or sends it into an identity crisis. Smaller, lighter cars with massive electric power, active aero, sustainable fuels, and tighter budgets. It's the biggest regulatory revolution the sport has ever seen. Will the racing be better? Probably. Will the cars be as fast? Maybe not in raw lap time, but wheel-to-wheel action could be insane. Will fans accept a Formula One that's 50% electric? That's the billion-dollar question. Some will embrace it as the future. Others will hate it and miss the screaming V10s that are never coming back. Teams are spending millions preparing for rules that might still change. Drivers are nervous about learning entirely new cars. Fans are waiting to see if 2026 delivers on promises or becomes a cautionary tale. One thing's certain: Formula One in 2026 will look, sound, and feel completely different from anything we've seen before. Whether that's exciting or terrifying depends on your perspective. But that's what makes this sport incredible. It never stops evolving, never stops pushing boundaries, never stops giving us something to argue about. Your turn. So that's F1 2026 in a nutshell. Are you hyped for these changes, or do you think the sport's heading in the wrong direction? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to know which regulation you think will have the biggest impact. The electric power boost, active aero, maybe the smaller cars? If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button and subscribe, because 2026 is going to bring insane content. We'll be covering every test session, every team's development, every controversy that pops up. Trust me, with changes this massive, there's going to be drama. Check out the video linked in the description about the new power units for a technical deep dive. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one when we find out which team is already panicking about 2026. Spoiler, probably all of them.